SAFER is the Bailiwick of Guernsey's domestic abuse charity. Our aim is that every individual in the island should be able to live in a relationship free of fear, coercion, emotional or physical abuse. Many people say to me, why do we need a charity? This doesn't happen in Guernsey, and why are we spending money on a problem which doesn't exist? Sadly, they are wrong. We know that 1 in 3 females and 1 in 7 males living in the island will at some time in their life experience domestic abuse. Even more significant are the number of children and young people growing up in an atmosphere of domestic abuse, and possibly even more worrying, the number of young people and teenagers today who are in abusive relationships already. Since the year 2000, 3 out of the 4 murders which have happened in Guernsey and 1 out of the 3 manslaughters were directly related to domestic abuse. These victims paid the ultimate price for what was happening in their lives. Our aim in SAFER is for everyone to feel safe in their own home, and that home to be free of fear. We have put together some dramatised stories based around real issues which have been seen in the bailiwick. The stories are from the user's perspective. Whilst they are played by actors, I hope they will give you an insight into what local victims experience and how SAFER services can help.
I met John 2 years ago, after I divorced my first husband when my 3 boys were still at school. He was older than me and he treated me like a princess. But jump forward a few years after we got married and he would often comment on my clothes, like saying what suited me and buy me clothes to wear. I enjoyed these presents and his honesty in telling me what I looked like. John would often suggest I change if we were going out together and for me to put on something that he'd bought me. Eventually, he'd managed to get rid of all of the clothes that I used to wear, making room in the wardrobe for what he'd bought. I thought he was being very generous until I received a letter from my bank saying that I had an unplanned overdraft. On reading the statement, it was obvious that John had been using my account to buy me clothes and had taken money from my personal account. When I questioned him about it, he said that we were married now and what was mine was his, and besides, the clothes had been for me. The comments on how I looked became more critical, and nothing that I wore, how I did my hair or makeup was acceptable to him. I was told I was either making no effort or trying to embarrass him, or that his friends would all think I was a slut because of what I was wearing. There was just no winning. I stopped going out, well, except to go to work and pick the kids up from school. I had no social life. After one row, John grabbed me by the throat during an argument and I passed out, coming round in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. I was absolutely terrified. The police met me at A&E and took down details of what I could remember. I was just so grateful that the kids had been at their dad's that weekend. I didn't want to go home, but I didn't know where else to go. Then someone from SAFER called me in the morning while I was still in the hospital. I mean, at first I wondered why they were calling, but I did have a vague memory of the police saying that they might. The woman from SAFER was absolutely amazing, and she came to see me in the hospital and took me to the refuge. I'm now in a much better place. I mean, I know I've still got some battles ahead with John as we go through the divorce, but I feel more confident now that I have people who will support me, practically and emotionally, from SAFER.
I used to like it when Mum made a picnic and we would go to the park and Dad would meet us there after work and we would go on the swings. That seems a long time ago now, but I have some pictures to remind me. I don't think Mum knew I could hear her some nights when she was crying. One day Mum was crying more than I had seen her cry before. I said I was sorry for whatever it was I had done. She smiled, but I could see she was still sad. The next day Mum told me Dad would not be living with us anymore. I thought I must have done something really bad for Dad not to want to live with me and Mum anymore, but I could not think what it was. I tried to ask Mum what it was that I had done, but she just said it was not my fault. I was really sad and was crying, but I did not want to be upset, as it might mean I did not see Dad again. I was so happy when I saw Dad again at the family centre. There were lots of other children there and lots of toys and games. I liked playing with Dad as it reminded me of the photo I had of us playing together. Mum and Dad are divorced now, but they both still love me, and they told me that nothing was my fault. I have a bedroom in both houses now, and I got to choose my favourite colour to paint the walls.
Come on, time to go.
I am glad Mum and Dad don't argue all the time anymore, and that I have 2 bedrooms and I see Dad loads now.
I was in year 9 when I first met Jack. Jack was the ideal boyfriend. He was also my first boyfriend. He was always pleased to see me and seemed to always be in a good mood, even with his exams coming up. When he was revising, he'd text me all the time. Sometimes I'd get more than 20 texts a day, even though I'd be at his house straight after school. One Saturday morning, I forgot my phone when I went shopping with my mum. When I got home, I had more than 50 missed calls and infinite text messages from Jack. I immediately called him and apologised for having forgotten my phone, but he was furious and shouted at me. I told Jack that I'd make it up to him and rushed over to his place. In his room, I explained how I'd forgotten my phone and how sorry I was. He slapped me and said, "This is so you never forget again, and this isn't anything like how much you've hurt me." Then he grabbed me and said he loved me and that he wanted me. I wasn't sure what to feel. I felt the hurt that he'd hit me, but it was as though my body was taking over from my rational mind and I was yearning to please him. He sensed I was nervous and reminded me that I'd said I would make it up to him. That was my first time. Afterwards, he seemed to have calmed down, though I felt sore and confused. Jack became increasingly demanding and seemed to find any reason to punish me by hitting me, embarrassing me in front of our classmates, and smashed my phone when he was angry. I had become a ghost to my friends. We had an argument about this after school one day and he hit me. Someone phoned the police and I ended up being referred to social services. Following that, I started to see Kidva from Safer. She was very kind and helped me to plan for my own safety. She has helped me to see that I have choices in the relationship and that it's not right for Jack to treat me as he has been doing. I had assumed that all relationships were the same and that Jack and mine was no different to anyone else's. I know now that that's not the case, and I feel like I have someone on my side to talk to.
I met Sarah at university. She was on the same course, and we got together during the second year. Looking back, it seemed like the relationship took off over a weekend, from ground zero to moving in together. We got together at a party on a Friday night, having sex that night, and spent the whole weekend together, mainly in bed. By Monday morning I was exhausted, happy, and moved from my dingy bedsit to her flat. We put in a massive amount of effort to both scrape degrees at the end of the third year, by which time I was concerned about my future, wondering how I was going to get a job. And to add to the mix, Sarah was pregnant. Sarah suggested moving to Guernsey, where she was from. And as she said, we could both get higher paid jobs in the finance sector, and her parents could help us raise our newborn. I managed to get a job relatively easily through a temporary agency. It was at this time that the importance of housing licenses became very apparent. I had no idea until then that I'd need a right to work document, and that it would be dependent on me living with Sarah. Sarah was very defensive, and this argument quickly escalated to the point where she picked up her dinner plate and threw it at me. It hit me on the head, just above my right eye. This was the first time she actually physically hurt me. She was immediately remorseful and apologetic, blaming her hormones from the pregnancy on her outburst. I didn't think anything of myself as an abused person, even giving off the walked into a cupboard door excuse for the resulting black eye to work colleagues the following week didn't trigger alarms. Trying to find work and being broke were all good reasons why tensions were high. I loved Sarah. Sarah was moody, consistently picking fault with everything I was doing. I felt I was functioning in zombie mode. I didn't want to go home because of the rows, but if I was late from work, Sarah would have put our daughter to bed and I couldn't see her. Being late from work would always result in a row with Sarah. She'd want to know who I'd been with and not believe me if I said I'd been working late. She accused me of seeing other women and of not being faithful, saying that if I left her, I would not see my daughter and would have to leave Guernsey. I stayed with Sarah way longer than I should have. I finally had my eyes opened when I took our daughter to the park when she was 3 years old. She'd started to hit a little boy she was playing house with. When I stopped her and said to apologise to the boy, she said, "I was just playing at being mommy."
Safer is here for every individual on the island, irrespective of age, gender, sexual orientation, religion or ethnicity. Through the work of Safer and our partner agencies, there has clearly been an impact on the number of incidents of domestic abuse. We are, however, aware that the people we see are only the tip of the iceberg and that there are many people suffering in silence.
When Maggie asked me to fundraise for Safer, it seemed the most natural thing to form Friends of Safer. I knew that this community would care about domestic abuse. I knew that this community would care about all those victims, very often silent, who needed the support of the services of Safer. And I wanted to raise some money to ensure that those services were retained and supported. It's going to be a real challenge for us to raise up to 60k a year. I almost don't know how we're going to do that, and I am appealing to all of you who watch this to come and join me and the amazing team that I'm putting together. It is going to be a journey of raising awareness, busting myths, taking the elephant out of the room. So it's for anybody who's compassionate to join us on this journey. I want to be upfront about the reality of domestic abuse. The film Tyrannosaur is perfect for anyone to view if they have any doubts about the broad spectrum that this abuse entails. I want us at Friends of Safer to form a dialogue with the public sector, the private sector and the third sector. We must promote a culture of openness around the facts of domestic abuse and a willingness on our island to support the domestic abuse strategy and a will in our government to fund it.
Overall, our aim is to make domestic abuse unacceptable and for every individual in the island to live in a safe environment.
Safer's services are not about numbers, but are about helping individuals and families. If you have been affected by domestic abuse or issues raised in our video and want to talk to somebody, please phone 721 999, where a member of Safer's staff will be happy to talk to you. We need everyone's help to achieve our goal of making domestic abuse unacceptable in all its forms. You can help in practical ways by volunteering, giving your time directly to the service, or by helping raise money through the Friends of Safer, giving a donation, attending fundraisers, sponsoring an event, or getting your business on board. You may be able to help with ideas or technical expertise, which you can offer pro bono. Whether a guitarist or an architect, You would be surprised at how many different ways you can help us. Spending time watching this video and spreading awareness that domestic abuse happens in Guernsey is an important step in helping us achieve our goal. Sending the link to someone else who might be interested will help spread the word. So a big thank you for watching.